In the glittering yet often tumultuous world of the Kardashian-Jenner dynasty, where every family dinner can double as a confessional booth and sibling spats fuel billion-dollar empires, supermodel Kendall Jenner has stepped into the spotlight with a vulnerability that cuts through the filters and facades. On the most recent episode of The Kardashians, airing amid the family's relentless cycle of premieres and product launches, the 29-year-old runway queen laid bare the undercurrents of her relationship with younger sister Kylie Jenner. What emerged wasn't just a nostalgic trip down memory lane but a poignant exploration of jealousy, parental double standards, and the rebellious rites of passage that ultimately forged an unbreakable sisterly alliance. Kendall's confession, delivered with a mix of wry humor and unflinching honesty, served as a reminder that even in households built on camera-ready perfection, the messy truths of growing up under the microscope remain achingly human. At the heart of Kendall's revelations was a simmering resentment rooted in the uneven hand dealt by their parents, Kris Jenner and Caitlyn Jenner. As the eldest of the Jenner siblings, sharing her lineage with Kylie through Caitlyn's side, Kendall found herself on the receiving end of a stricter regime, one that Kris, the indomitable momager, who orchestrated the family's ascent from tabloid fodder to cultural juggernaut, enforced with military precision. "I was jealous," Kendall admitted in a solo confessional, her voice steady but her eyes betraying the weight of those long-buried feelings. The jealousy wasn't born of material envy. After all, both sisters would grow into self-made moguls, Kendall dominating high fashion while Kylie revolutionized beauty with her Kylie Cosmetics line, but rather from the palpable disparity in leniency. Kris and Caitlyn, navigating their own high-stakes divorce and the pressures of raising a blended brood in the pre-keeping up with the Kardashians era, seemed to loosen the reins as the family expanded. Kylie, arriving as the baby of the bunch, benefited from this parental fatigue, skating by with a freedom that Kendall could only dream of. The episode masterfully wove these dynamics into a tapestry of teen angst, zeroing in on one particularly vivid anecdote: Kylie's premature foray into marijuana. At just 14, the future lipstick empress had already dabbled, a fact that sent 16-year-old Kendall into a tailspin of righteous indignation. "I was so mad at her," Kendall recounted, her laughter now tinged with hindsight's affection. "I was like, you're a degenerate." The word degenerate, so dramatic, so quintessentially teenage, hung in the air like a relic from their Calabasas adolescence, a time when the sisters were still figuring out their identities amid the shadow of their half-sister's rising fame. In her confessional, Kylie, now 28 and a mother herself, offered her side with characteristic candor. "Kris definitely got more relaxed the more children she had by the time I came around. It was a subtle nod to the exhaustion of parenting 6 kids, Kourtney, Kim, Khloe, Rob from Kris's marriage to Robert Kardashian, and then Kendall and Kylie with Caitlyn, while building an empire. I was definitely afraid of her and respected her," Kylie continued, "but I could get away with a lot." This admission painted Kris not as a tyrant but as a weary architect, her rules softening like clay under the relentless mold of family logistics. What could have devolved into a blame game, however, transformed into a celebration of sisterly solidarity. Kendall didn't linger on the bitterness. Instead, she pivoted to the redemptive joy of rebellion shared. Once the initial shock of Kylie's degenerate ways wore off, the sisters united in their mischief. However, the model opens up that she started smoking with Kylie and then had the best time ever, Kendall shared, her face lighting up at the memory. At 16 and 14 respectively, they were at that precarious cusp of youth, old enough to push boundaries, young enough to believe the world was theirs to conquer. "Everything was great," she emphasized, evoking late-night giggles, whispered secrets, and the hazy euphoria of those illicit moments that bonded them tighter than any family vacation ever could. It was a turning point, a reclamation of agency in a household where every move was scrutinized, prefiguring the independence both would later claim in their careers. For Kendall, whose path veered toward the poised elegance of Paris Fashion Week, and Kylie, whose empire thrives on bold, unapologetic innovation, this shared right marked the genesis of their adult alliance. This episode's confessional style, intimate camera close-ups, soft lighting, and those signature voiceovers, allowed the sisters to unpack their past without the gloss of performance. Kylie's reflection added layers, humanizing the mogul often caricatured as the spoiled youngest. Her fear-tinged respect for Kris underscored the matriarch's dual role, fierce protector and occasional blind eye, a balance that enabled the family's survival in the cutthroat entertainment industry. Kris Jenner, after all, has long been the family's North Star, turning personal tragedies, like Caitlyn's transition and the O.J. Simpson trial shadows, into springboards for success. Yet, as Kendall and Kylie's stories illustrate, Even the most calculated parenting leaves scars, small fissures that siblings must navigate together. But Kendall's disclosures didn't stop at sisterly smoke sessions. She ventured into even more personal territory, confronting the ghosts of her sexual awakening. In a segment that blended humor with a touch of lingering vulnerability, the supermodel admitted to losing her virginity as a teenager, specifically at the house of her then-partner. The revelation wasn't dropped casually, it was framed against the backdrop of parental indifference, a stark contrast to the helicopter oversight she felt in other areas. Meanwhile, Kendall also admits she lost her virginity as a teen to her mother Kris. She quipped, though the phrasing belies a deeper truth, Kris's hands-off approach in this realm. The model discloses that Kris and Caitlyn didn't care about Kendall's whereabouts at the time. Kendall's delivery was laced with sarcasm, turning potential pain into punchline. Not only did she not know, she really didn't care. She was like, "Oh, you're going out till Wednesday? Great. Never come back." It's a quip that lands with the force of a mic drop, encapsulating the chaotic freedom of those years, a far cry from the structured rebellion Kris enforced elsewhere. This anecdote resonates on multiple levels, speaking to the broader Jenner family lore. Caitlyn, post-transition and amid her own public reinvention, was perhaps too embroiled in personal evolution to micromanage. Kris, ever the strategist, prioritized the bigger picture, shielding her daughters from scandal while grooming them for stardom. For Kendall, whose anxiety and Crohn's disease battles have been well documented, this laissez-faire attitude was a double-edged sword, liberating yet isolating. It echoes themes from earlier seasons of the Kardashians, where episodes dissected the fallout of Caitlyn's coming out and the sisters' evolving relationships with their father figure. Yet, in true Kardashian fashion, the reveal wasn't about dredging up trauma. It was about ownership, transforming a private milestone into a universal story of young love's awkward triumphs.